Yes.
Can you explain to me what has interested you in this job and what skills you bring to it?
First of all, Mum's a business manager, so she brings in the news and always have to listen to your complaints and stuff like that. So even from through that, I've learned how to deal with stuff. And, skills you need, communication skills with customers, colleagues. You also need to be able to lead from the front. You need to show customer complaints. You need to go say what's wrong, see what's wrong, assess the situation, and then deal with it appropriately.
Right. Okay. Give me an example of a situation you've had to assess. And what action you've taken?
Working next on the Boucher Road, so with customers bringing stuff back from overseas, you have to if it's over £50, you have to go and ask the manager, and sometimes they don't get it, and then there's the customers sometimes complain about that, and you have to settle them down and say to them this is the rules of the company, it's not the else. You have to go and with the rules of the company, we can't go against that. So if you're going to complain, you have to go to higher ground.
Right. So give me an example of where a customer has come and made a complaint to you and how you've handled that particular situation.
Well, on sale day, there's no returns, so because everything's mad on sale day, you have to do. And then when customers buy things, they've wrong hanger on it, or the wrong size, and try and bring it back, but then you can't bring it back, so the customer give up and complain about this, and have to bring it back. I have a long way to travel to get home, and then come back for want to bring it back on Monday. But I explained that's company policy. We can't go against this. So you're gonna have to just bring it back. And then we explained it. I also explained there's other stores closer to where they live. And then you can also bring it back there if you have your receipt. So there's not a problem with that. But on the 2 days you can't bring it back. And then they didn't really complain. They just want to set the scene with them and they knew what was happening there.
Hello, I'm Kevin Martin. I'm going to be interviewing today. What attracted you to this job initially?
Basically, I like the way in the emergency department you're always going to have constant variety. You don't know what's going to be hitting you from one hour to the next. I also, that variety in itself attracts me. I don't like to be tied down. In fact, if I had to choose a negative part of my personality, is that I'm slightly indecisive. But I think this job would leave me open to a lot of opportunities. I also am not scared of a physical challenge, and I think having done work experience in the emergency department, I realise you're on your feet a lot. You're having to go from place to place, whether it's getting test results, meeting new patients, you're constantly moving, and you've got long shifts, and will be more than prepared to do that.
So there are many different ways of helping people. Why is it that you wanted to do medicine and A&E rather than working in any of the other professions, like pharmacy?
Well, I think one particular thing in A&E, in a lot of cases, you're going to have to be the first person to react, and you've got to be spontaneous and ready to put up our attention. In that sense, it's a big challenge. If you're working in another department, you've got a whole lot of information coming to you. You know who this person is. You've probably been briefed on, had a good meeting. But in A&E, it's up to you, and you're the first person to make the decision.
Have you taken any steps to try to find out whether you really do want to be a doctor?
Well, I've been on work experience. I've seen, I think I've identified what's required of the doctor. That is, obviously you've got to have your sound scientific foundation, which I believe I've achieved to this point, and constantly updating through being in school, studying for my levels.
Can you give me an example of where you've had to show your leadership skills?
In work or in...
No, anywhere?
Well, I'm captain the school and Clonard team, so you have to lead the team from the front. You have to always... everyone's never right. There's some people who don't know. If someone didn't get on, they'll be disappointed, and their attitude drops. So you have to go and explain to them it's a team game. If you want to get on, you have to improve and train and stuff like that.
So have you ever had to tell somebody that they haven't got a place on the team?
I've never had to myself, but the managers usually do that. But then if they're disappointed, I would say to them it's the manager's decision. You have to just take it on the chin and work harder.
So give me an example of where you've had to do that.
Well, in our club, there's players who French players, and they think they should be on, but others don't.
Right.
And they were they didn't get on once, and then they didn't come back the next week.
Right.
but they come back the week after, and then like I have to bring it up to them, like you can't just come and go when you want. It's like a team game. Everyone's here for like each other, and like you can't just turn up when you want.
And did it turn their attitude around?
Get a bit better at it, but they're still thereabouts. But there was no complaints or anything he said, like I know, but like I just felt disappointed and want to go back the next week.
As the team captain, how do you go about motivating your team?
Teams will say if you can see the goal, for example, like everyone's heads will be down, you have to go about, pump it up, just say come on, that's heads up.
So what can you bring to our company that we haven't got already?
I'm very highly motivated, hardworking.
Right, so can you give me an example of something that could demonstrate to us that you're highly motivated and you work right?
My GCSE AS grades, I work hard very hard to achieve top grades. I'll look for success, try to be the best.
And have you ever encountered failure?
No,
Okay.
I'm quite fortunate.
Okay.
Your work experience, what was your work experience?
More expensive.
Okay, what did you do? What did that involve?
Well, following the manager of the place, seeing like what they do on a day-to-day basis, like seeing how they like manage money, manage people, manage, I'd say, just everything basically.
Okay, what did you learn from it?
It's not easy. There's always nothing always goes right. No, nothing ever goes right. There's always like things you have to deal with in situations, and then there's always different outcomes that can come from what you do. So you always have to think thoroughly about the situation that you're in and how you're going to deal with it.
Right.
Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, a little personal statement about yourself?
My personal qualities, or just what I've done with myself.
Yeah, sum yourself up.
Basically, I'd say 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. I'll work hard. I will work at any means. But I certainly have a sense of the real world, and I know how to relax. I play sport. I play rugby. Go to the gym. I do all sorts of things just to calm myself and keep my work life more efficient. Really. Even just the fact that I'm on a 4 children, my sense of empathy and ability to work with people has been greatly improved.
So did the work placement, was that part of your steps to decide whether you were suited to the career? Did that make a difference? Did you change your mind after the attachments?
I think it woke me up to just how hard the work is, but I think I also realised that that's part of who I am. I think as well that's the sort of worker I would want to be, and that I would sit that sort of role.
What do you mean, what sort of worker?
Like hard worker, basically, yeah. And I would be very rare for me to say no. As long as it keeps people happy.
So you were saying there you were a hard worker 9 to 5. It's not 2 9 to 5 though, is it?
Yeah.
Especially A&E out of all the specialties. Is that something that would put you off?
No, I think, as I say, if someone asks me to do something, I'll always be willing to do it. I'd like to make people happy and have a pat on my back at the end of the day. But when I do get that final call, I do know how to relax.
So why do you think the problem-based learning of this undergraduate course will suit you personally?
Well, I am an independent worker. I think first thing is the best way to learn is to try and teach something yourself. I think there's a sense of that, and that you have to go and identify your problems within a piece of yourself. You have to look it up yourself, unlike just being given what you have to learn. So I think learning anything starts with identifying a problem, and I think it's best to go through all those stages, identifying the problem, finding how you solve that problem, and executing it.
So do you think it's possible to learn communication skills?
I think it definitely gets harder as you get older. I think it really starts in your family and how you're brought up. An only child, even I think just two children in a family, I think you're already at a disadvantage there. You're not learning to compromise and really getting your own way a lot. But I do think effort and making sure that you're always spending time with people, not after school, just going home and doing your homework, joining clubs, getting involved in things you can improve them. But as I said, it's going to get harder as you go.
at say the hot topics in pharmacy, hot topics in dentistry, find out what issues are out there. There's always that issue of ethics as well, which is really sort of proven a wee bit, and that you're given a scenario if you were, you mentioned stem cells, but if you have a 18-year-old patient who's in with a broken front tooth, you give them the options of having the tooth saved, but they want the tooth extracted. What do you do? So you have to go into a sort of ethical discussion of, well, this is an ethical issue. I have to decide whether it's in the patient's best interest or not the best interest, and sort of work way through those sort of things. It doesn't matter whether you know whether you can offer root canals or anything else, but it's a big issue. 21-year-olds only got bruised in the front tooth. Is it something you really want to do for them? So the ethical issues, you have to decide, is it the right thing for the patient? Are there alternatives for them? Or whether the patient has made up their mind that's what they definitely want. You explain the risks of doing it, you explain what they'll be left with afterwards. And if that patient still wishes to do it, you look at consent, where the patient fills out a form to state that they're fully aware, fully this, fully that, and therefore it's your decision to decide, do you do it? Or the alternative is, do you maybe send that on to a specialist and ask the specialist to give an opinion, or get a second opinion from somebody else if you feel that you're not happy to carry the treatment. Because at the end of the day, if you're not happy to carry it out, it's because you think it ethically is maybe not right. If it's ethically not right, you go ahead and do it. You're very hard to defend yourself long term. If somebody comes around and says, well, I didn't know what you were going to do. Okay, so things like that, think about ethics, because again, pharmacy, again, same thing. Somebody comes in underage asking for drugs and you need parental consent for it. Do you give them out? Do you not give them out? Do you go through the right pathway in terms of actually you need to go and see your doctor and give them the right advice, give them the right information, and then direct them to the right place? So again, the ethics is a big issue for yourself as well. Okay, so think about controversial issues that maybe hot at the moment. Think about ethical issues, and those are sort of questions that you might get asked by some of the universities. Some of the other universities are